Hi everyone, and thanks for checking out my channel. Starting with the first video this year, and I'm gonna go just through the market and quickly review a couple of commodities. We'll do some more detailed analysis over the weekend, especially for WTI, crude oil, and nat gas. But let's get started with crude oil. Did actually break up quite nicely since the Christmas break. It's not setting some sort of on a daily potential divergence here, but I'll be a little bit cautious trading this right now and wait for that daily candle to finish, so we can still push a bit higher. At the 43 level to be really hard to get. We got a trend line running here, so it's 2 points trend line, so not necessarily that strong, but if we get some rejection on the 43, that could give us a nice sell short entry. I wouldn't buy at that level. I think it's just probably too late in that move, just an overbought with a potential loss of momentum here. Still a significant move to the upside. We got from 49 to 52 with no increase of momentum, so it's definitely sign of exhaustion, but still maybe a bit too early to short. But the channel is still valid, so the target for that move would be potentially, of course, to get back down to 50 and hopefully breaking the channel for some correction to the lower side of the range. So potentially reaching 46, 43 seems a little bit far, but 46 seems achievable. Looking at natural gas still in a solid downtrend, as we can see, with a really clean lower low and lower highs all the time. So we got the last one down at 228. They got a really nice buy signal with that 4 hours divergence we got here. Did actually clear it up roughly when we got to 2.73, and then we got a touch on that trend line here on the 4 hours quite nicely, almost perfectly right on, and then we got I think a divergence on the 1 hour here that did actually trigger from the start of the gap here. So my opinion now for nat gas, it's going down, continuation of the move to the downside. There's a bit of upside left here. We can close the gap up to 270 before resuming the move to the downside. So I think moving from there, we would actually touch somewhere there, reject, and then start moving to lower. I think 2.54 is the first target, as we can see, closing the gap here. That's the most obvious move, the first. Then we got 240, and then of course we got a major support at 220. That could potentially be the end of that downtrend. We shall see this, but I don't believe this is the end. Really low chance to actually break above 280 now. It's going to be really solid resistance. Looking at platinum, we got a significant down from the top, quite disappointing, as we had a very nice figure. Did break to the upside, first attempt, retest on 1020, then a nice move to the upside on 100, but that got actually rejected, set up divergence on the daily chart, as we can see here. That's actually pointing to correction, believe, to 980, potentially a bit lower. So I'll be waiting for that area before buying back. Could get 930, that'll be really nice. It's a bit of a stretch, I think, but I wouldn't buy yet. That's probably too early. As we can see, the 4 hours did break the trend line we got on the RSI, so taking some momentum to the upside. That's too risky to buy at that point to me. Looking at silver, we got some really big move last week, major drop, almost 10%, I think even more in one day. So set a nice divergence here on 24.7, so that could potentially bounce back up to 27 if it does actually hold that level. I think at that point probably stay aside and look what will happen. And we got that trend line that's holding the price and could actually make it for a nice trade to the upside. Of course, a bit risky, but on that 25 could get this and move back up to 29, potentially for the move to resume later. Potentially not done. As you can see here, the 1 hour is looking at that peak here, so we could actually retrace all the way down to 22. That could be a potential bottom for longer term that we could actually trade and position long. Looking at sugar, because it's quite an interesting market as well, as we got on the 4 hours. That was divergence on that move to 16. Did correct down back to the major support at 15.5. I don't believe this is over yet. Technically, we could still see another move to 15, which on the daily would be roughly the 50 MA that could actually support the price here. There's no proper divergence here. It's a bit a lack of momentum on that last move, but potentially might not actually correct and close that gap. It's still risk at 13. So on the buy at 15, sorry, we'll have to be careful and exit should we actually break much lower, as the risk is still there to actually go and filling that gap at 13 potentially. And finally, looking at coffee, that's coffee that's been definitely struggling, breaking rising wedge at 125, broke through 124, was a key resistance, setup divergence on the 4 hours, actually calling for that gap closure now at 110. So similar coffee, I'm not looking at trading it. I'll be waiting on the sideline and waiting for 110 to potentially buy back. For the shorts, it's a little bit risky, I believe, but can be attempted by entering short as close as possible at 124, setting a stop loss a bit further above. The trend line would be a nice reference to actually cap that price. So I believe 124 is probably safe for short entry, but of course it can take some time to break to the downside. So yes, probably a little bit risky still, but definitely less risky than holding long at this point. So yeah, that's all for today. I'll do a few more analysis over the weekend. I might try to do another check midweek and see how we go. And until then, I wish you safe trading and I speak to you soon. Cheers, bye.